It was an ordinary Saturday afternoon when Jason and his best friend, Ethan, were lounging around in Jason's bedroom, scrolling through their phones. Jason was excited about a new app he had downloaded, claiming to have an uncanny ability to change people's appearances. At first, he thought it was just another prank app, but the reviews on the App Store were so strange and compelling that he couldn't resist. "Hey, Ethan, check this out," Jason said, holding his phone up to Ethan, his face lighting up with excitement. "This app is supposed to be able to change your appearance. It's supposed to do anything from changing your hair to, well, completely transforming you." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "You're kidding, right? No app can do that." Jason chuckled. "I thought the same thing at first, but some of the screenshots look legit. Want to test it out?" Ethan shrugged. He was always up for a laugh, so he agreed. "Sure, why not? It's probably a joke anyway." Jason tapped a few buttons on the screen, selecting the transformation feature. He turned the phone toward Ethan. "So? Are you ready for this?" Ethan laughed nervously, more out of curiosity than fear. "Let's see what happens." Jason pressed the final button, and the phone screen glowed brightly, casting an eerie light across the room. Ethan, now standing in front of the mirror, suddenly felt a tingling sensation in his body, starting at his fingertips and creeping up his arms. His reflection began to warp, shifting ever so slightly. Ethan, now called Ellie, blinked rapidly. "Wait, what's happening?" she asked, her voice faltering. She looked down at her hands, watching as they softened, the skin becoming more delicate. Her fingers grew slender, and he gasped, stepping back in surprise. "Jason?" Ellie's voice was shaky as she tried to process the sudden changes. "What did you do to me?" Jason's excitement turned to concern as he watched Ellie's clothes start to change, the fabric tightening and adjusting to a more feminine form. "Ethan, dude, are you okay?" But Ellie was too stunned to respond. She felt a rush of emotions, confusion, fear, and a strange pull in her chest. His jawline softened, his shoulders narrowed, and his hair grew longer, cascading down her back in waves. She clutched the edge of the desk, feeling the ground beneath her shift. The transformation was far beyond anything she could have imagined. Jason watched in awe as Ethan's features continued to change. His face became rounder, his eyes bigger, and his lips fuller. A new, unfamiliar weight pressed against his chest, and he instinctively reached up, his fingers grazing the soft, rounded curves that weren't there before. The shock of it all hit him like a ton of bricks. This can't be real," Ethan whispered, his voice now sounding softer, higher pitched. He quickly looked up at Jason, panic creeping into his expression. "Why is this happening?" Jason stepped forward, his voice full of regret. "I didn't think it would actually work. I swear, I didn't mean to." Ellie stumbled backward, her eyes wide. "You used that app on me?" Her new body, her new face were so far into her that she couldn't help but feel a wave of terror. "I swear, I didn't mean to do this. I didn't know it would go this far." Ellie's heart raced. She felt trapped in her own body, the overwhelming sense of unfamiliarity threatening to drown him. He reached out toward Jason. "What am I supposed to do now, Jason? What if I can't change back?" Jason looked at the app in his hands, tapping frantically to find any option to reverse the transformation, but the screen remained stubbornly blank. I don't know," he admitted, his voice shaky. "I don't know if there's a way back, but I'll fix this, I swear. We'll figure it out." Ellie nodded, the terror still in her eyes, though a part of her couldn't help but feel the weirdest sensation, something almost like acceptance, or even curiosity, about this new form. It felt wrong, but there was also a strange allure to it. She ran her hands down her newly formed body, a mix of discomfort and fascination flooding her. After a long silence, Ellie finally spoke, her voice small. "What now?" Jason paused, looking at his friend in shock. He couldn't believe how quickly everything had escalated. "We'll find a way to undo this, I promise. But for now, we need to stick together. I'll help you get through this." Ellie gave a tentative nod, still processing the overwhelming change. "Yeah, I guess. Maybe I need to figure out who I am now. What this means." The next day, Ellie had come to terms with her transformation. She'd spent most of the night staring at herself in the mirror, slowly adjusting to her new appearance. The shock had worn off, but the reality was still strange. She now had long, flowing hair, delicate features, and a body she didn't recognize. But more than that, she was learning how to be someone new, someone who felt different but, in some odd way, more complete. Jason had been kind and supportive, never leaving her side. He helped her pick out clothes that fit her new form, always making sure she felt comfortable. Slowly, the fear she once felt began to fade, replaced by a strange curiosity about the world from this new perspective. Later that evening, as the sun began to set, Jason and Ethan, now Ellie, found themselves sitting in the backyard. The air was cool, and the sky was painted with shades of pink and orange. Ellie looked over at Jason, her eyes soft. I never imagined this would happen. But, I don't know. It's kind of freeing. Jason smiled gently, his eyes locked onto hers. I'm sorry, Ellie. I never meant for any of this to happen. But you've handled it better than anyone could have. Ellie's heart fluttered in her chest, and she found herself drawn to Jason in a way she hadn't been before. She shifted slightly closer to him, her fingers brushing his. The warmth of his touch sent a spark through her, something she hadn't expected. You've been really patient with me, Ellie said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what I'd do without you right now. Jason looked at her, his expression softening. I'll always be here for you, Ellie. I just want you to be happy, no matter what. For a moment, the world seemed to pause. Ellie's heart pounded in her chest as she gazed into Jason's eyes. She felt something shift between them, something more than friendship, something deeper. Before she could second-guess herself, Ellie leaned in, her lips brushing against his in a soft, tentative kiss. Jason froze for a moment. But then, as if drawn by some invisible force, he deepened the kiss, his hands gently cupping her face. When they finally pulled away, both of them were breathless, a soft smile tugging at the corners of their lips. Ellie's cheeks flushed, and for the first time since her transformation, she felt like she was exactly where she